The first assumption that men make about women that is not true is that we are as influenced by looks as you are. So although we do notice what men look like for sure, and we notice what women look like too, we're not as influenced by the looks in terms of mating. So as I've said in other videos, yes, we notice looks in terms of health and the ability to reproduce children that will be healthy. However, as I've mentioned in several videos, of all the long-term couples I've interviewed, 90% of the time, the woman was not physically attracted to the man right away. It actually built up. Again, all the women I talked to are super attracted to their partner now, but they weren't initially. And a lot of times when a woman is initially attracted to a man, the relationship doesn't actually work out because sexual attraction does not equal relational compatibility. So once you get past the sex part of it, then what's left? Are you really compatible in a relationship? And a lot of times women find out that the men that they're initially attracted to are not the right men for them simply because of the numbers. You just don't know who you're actually compatible with until you actually get to know the person for the person, not just for their body. So if you actually give a woman time to get to know you, yes, you might have to work that friend zone, but if you can do that and still have a life, go do whatever you need to do, then you'll have a better chance of actually having the possibility of a long-term happy relationship because the woman isn't interested in you just for your looks. Men are actually much more visual creatures. All you have to do is read the comments. I get a lot of comments on my looks. Some of them are flattering, some of them are definitely not flattering, but I always find it very interesting that I get so many comments on my looks. And oh, love. Anyways, okay, so that's the first false assumption about women. Second is assuming that hot women are out of your league. So this kind of ties into the first one. Just because you think she's super attractive and maybe in the looks department that she's out of your league, or maybe in other departments, doesn't mean that she actually is out of your league, and it doesn't mean that she thinks she's out of your league. So you assume she's out of your league, and then you assume she thinks she's out of your league, but that's not actually true. All women have insecurities. Yay! What that means is that no woman is really out of your league, unless she's maybe a supermodel who's wealthy and famous and everything else. Then she's going to certainly want to be with someone who's on the same level as her, if for no other reason than because that guy is going to be confident enough to be with her. But just from general practicality, if you've got enough confidence, you can really have anyone you want. So don't assume she's out of your league, because she's not assuming that about herself for you. Okay, number 3, assuming women think logically. Now, y'all say women are illogical and highly emotional, and that's absolutely true. The women's emotional center in our brain is 8 times bigger than a man's is. We are not logical creatures, but somehow, even though you know that intellectually, you still seem to want to think that we will react and respond logically. And when there's emotion involved, which there's an 8 times greater chance for a woman to have emotion involved, it's not likely to happen. So you have to appeal to a woman's emotions. Logic is never going to work, especially if emotions are involved. You can't use logic to convince a woman of anything. You have to actually appeal to her feelings. And that's something that I may go over in another video because it's a much bigger topic. But for now, don't assume that because it makes sense, that it's going to make sense to a woman. Women do not think the same linear or literal way that men do. And that kind of brings me to the next one, which is number 4, that assuming that a woman's emotions are steady. Our emotions vary all the time. It can be because of hormones, it can be because of triggers, it can be because of anything. So if she's really in love with you right now, we'll get into more of that in a minute, that doesn't mean that she's going to feel the same way in 10 minutes. Something can set her off and she might be irritated in 10 minutes. Women are highly volatile emotionally because our emotional center is 8 times bigger than a man's. So we're going to be 8 times more emotional than most men. And of course, these are generalities. Let's use the 80-20 rules. Yes, some guys are more emotional and some women are more logical, but generalities are there for a reason. So women, their emotions, they're volatile, they're not steady, and sometimes, depending on hormones, they're going to be even more volatile But that's the way we're built. If you don't like it, you got to take it up with God, because I didn't create the design here. I'm just helping you decode it. Number 5, assuming that women remain satisfied once you get them. Now, we don't need tons of stimulation every day, but what happens a lot of the times is once a man gets the girl, once you've actually made that conquest and you think things are just solid, a lot of times you kind of let things slide. Like, you're comfortable, so she's probably comfortable, right? No, not so much. You need to always be gaming the girl, and it doesn't have to be big. Once in a while, surprise her with a flower for no reason. Once in a while, do something spontaneous for no reason. It doesn't have to be all the time, but it has to be a once in a while. You've got to add some spice, some mystery, and some unpredictability in there to keep things alive. So even though you're comfortable in the relationship, you gotta keep some level of stimulation in there once in a while to keep her happy. And if you don't want to keep her happy, you shouldn't be in a relationship, because in a relationship, both partners should be wanting to do their part to keep the other side happy. And yes, there are things that women need to do to keep men happy as well, but my audience here is men, so I'm here to teach you what you can do to keep the girl happy. And there's other coaches out there who are helping women to learn how to treat men great again. I may do a video for you in the future about that you can share with all your female friends. But for now, this video is for what you can do. And the number 6 and most important false assumption men make about women is that because we love differently, that we don't love deeply. That's not true. We do love very, very deeply, and it just takes us longer to get there. We guard our hearts longer than a man does. When a man falls, he falls hard and fast. Oh, I could have made a naughty there. But anyway, women take longer to fall. It takes longer for us to trust enough to open our heart, to give our whole hearts away, but we do. So yes, there is the soft side to women that you get to have once we trust you and trust ourselves enough to allow that to happen. And I've written it down in some of the comments about women that I know personally who have done this. Was married to her husband for over 40 years and was faithful and loving to him until he died. Was faithful and loving and supportive of for over 25 years until she died. And my mom was faithful and loving and supportive of my dad until he died. And if you saw on paper what the relationships were, you would consider that all of these men were dating women out of their league. Now, in my estimation, no one's out of your league, but you would think, how could those women be with those men when that's what they have to offer? It's not about money. None of those men were wealthy. In fact, they're all kind of broke. And my dad was really overweight. He wasn't an attractive guy. So if you think all women are shallow, then you're really shopping in the wrong places for the kind of woman that will be able to give you the kind of love that will sustain you. No, it's not going to be completely unconditional, and yes, it will take time for her to give you her whole heart. But if you can provide for her what she needs, and no, it's not money, no, it's not fame, no, it's not power and status the way you're thinking of it. It can be in those little tiny ways that give her small proofs that you actually care about her and value her and appreciate her and are still a man that will allow her to love you in the way that you really want to be loved. Yes, women can be very caring and nurturing and loving and tender and all the things that you really want, but it takes time for us to get there. And of course, you have to choose well, because not every woman is going to be a high quality woman who will allow you to get past her barriers, to get to that love meadow, to get to the place where you get the rewards of what being with a woman are really like, the positive things that you long for. Otherwise, why are you here? Why are you even watching my videos if you don't believe somewhere that that's a possibility? So don't give up hope, but do realize that women and men are simply different, but you can get what you really want and have a happy relationship with a woman if that's what you desire. So I hope this video has been a little bit more encouraging, and I'd love to know your thoughts. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, and do watch the next video. It always helps me out when you comment and watch my videos. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.